Hey guys, Chris back again with another video. In this video I'm going to be talking about the Xbox One X again and why it's sort of seen so much sort of preemptive success. It's not even out yet and it's seen a ton of sales, a ton of consoles sold, especially compared to its main competitor, compared to the PS4 and the PS4 Pro. It's overtaken both of those. I think it overtook its direct competitor, the PS4 Pro, in 3 days, I think, for Amazon sales, and I think it's probably by now overtaken the sales of like eBay and things like that, other online retailers. I think it's definitely overtaken them, and it's not even out yet. It's you know, the pre-order's been available for less than a week, and it's already seen so much success. And this goes back to the reason as to why it's seen so much success and why it will actually see a lot more success and a lot more sales, make Microsoft a hell of a lot of money after it releases. And this, it goes back to one reason, and one reason really at all, and that is that it's got a place in the gaming industry. The PS4 Pro did not have a place in the gaming industry. It was sort of like a halfway console. I'll go into more depth and detail of everything that I'm talking about during this video. But the PS4 Pro, it didn't fill a hole. It didn't fill a hole that was needed. They sort of made it just because they heard about the Xbox One X, I'm guessing, and they wanted to provide 4K support, but it really did not provide 4K support. It was more like 2K support, as opposed to actual full-on 4K support. Most of the most of the games that are specifically designed to run on PlayStation, like Uncharted 4, for example, I don't think that even could run at 4K. I think it was 2K on the PS4 Pro. So it was a really halfway towards it, and I think Sony only released that simply because they knew about Microsoft's intentions for the Xbox One X, and they knew that more and more people are using PCs at higher resolutions and higher frame rates and stuff, and they sort of wanted to dabble in that and then provide some support for that for their players, but they really didn't do a good job of it, and that's why the PS4 Pro will be forgotten. I mean, it's not really talked about that much anymore. There's no new videos on YouTube being made of it. There's no new stuff being made for it. Obviously games can still run on it, but it's not that big of a deal, and it really doesn't provide that much of a performance boost or a graphical boost over the normal PS4. If you could go on YouTube there, look at graphics comparisons on YouTube, and they're better. They are better, but really not tons and tons better. If you looked at it with like a 4K screen, which I didn't, I've looked at it from a really good 1080p screen. If you looked at it, on a 4K screen, you'd see probably more of a difference than I have. But I'm saying, like, the price difference between the PS4 Pro and the PS4, the standard PS4, was pretty damn sizable. Certainly bigger than, much bigger than it should have been. And it didn't really provide much of a frame rate or a resolution boost in a lot of the games, and the fact that it couldn't even provide like much of a performance enhancement or boost in the games that only play on PS4 and should be really well optimized because the PS4 exclusives like Uncharted. The fact that it didn't really provide much of a boost for that is really like one of the main and direct reasons as to why it didn't see a lot of success, and it's complete opposite to the case with Xbox One X and with Microsoft. Microsoft is really coming together and sort of unifying the whole Xbox sort of label and brand and player base. And that goes for PC gamers as well, because PC gamers can obviously play Xbox games via Windows. You can, I think it's Windows, isn't it? That you can play it on, and I think it's Windows 10, isn't it? And that in a way is Xbox. That's Xbox, and it's united under the Xbox sort of umbrella. And in some games, in fact, Xbox One players are going to be playing with PC players. I'm not sure how many, or I can't say any games off the top of my head, but I do know that there are games out there currently that will either support crossplay in the future or already do. I'm really not sure as to that, but I think there's quite a few lined up for it. Now that's a very smart move, because Xbox has sort of united all of its sort of cash flows and all of its revenue streams, meaning like every player and every customer under one roof, under one sort of label, under one name. And the reason that's good is because we can all play together. It's going to increase the size of player bases and stuff, and it's going to overall increase the popularity of Xbox, in different aspects and in different places and situations on different consoles. And they've really united and made it really. That was a clever business move. That was a smart business decision and a smart business move. And with the Xbox One X, they've obviously taken it to the right degree. They've really took it to a really good sort of level where it's not going to break your bank, break the bank too much for you. And at the same time, it's really powerful. And the reason it's not going to break the bank too much is I referenced this in another one of my videos. We're playing Need for Speed right now. I forgot to mention that. Figure it's kind of relevant because Need for Speed Payback is one of the games I think that's going to be enhanced by Xbox One X, like specifically tuned to it, I think. So I figured it would probably be kind of relevant and fun to play. I like this game, and I've never really played it that much. Where I was, they really sort of they offer a lot of performance with the Xbox One X, but they didn't really offer much of a price tag. The reason for that, and I referenced it in another one of my videos, is because they're doing the same thing that Amazon did, and Amazon's a very popular and successful, where they basically set the initial price very low to start off, like initial price really low, and they don't plan on making any profit from the initial price. In fact, Microsoft is probably losing money from the initial price of $500 or I think £450 if you're in the UK. They're losing money on that because the console and the gear inside of it is actually worth a hell of a lot more than that, probably at least £900 or $1,000, $1,100 at least, probably more. And they're losing money directly from that. But their sort of plan of attack with this, like I said, is similar to Amazon's, where they drop the price initially very low, but they know that that's going to gain them a much bigger sort of player base, a much bigger customer base, and that's going to add massive amounts of money down the road for Xbox, because people are going to be buying games, buying DLCs, buying add-ons, all on the Xbox One, and they all in the Xbox One version, instead of buying it on PC or PS4, because they'll be able to play that Xbox One version of that game on the Xbox One X. So it's going to win them a ton of money down the road. It's a very clever and smart business decision, and that's one of the main integral points as to why it's seen so much success, because people are estimating that it's going to be like £900, £1,000 or $1,200, $1,300. I think just before E3, I saw loads of stuff on the internet about that. And the reason for that is, obviously, like I said, it's the value. It's the value of what's inside the console. That's how much it really should be, but it's not how much it is, and that's why it's seen a lot of success. Also, it fills a hole in the market. Like I said before about the PS4 Pro not filling a hole in the market, there was no need for it. No one was saying, look, I'd really like to play PS4 titles at slightly better, slightly higher graphics levels and 2K resolution. No one was saying that. No one was saying that they wanted to run games at 1440p on a PS4. People said that they want to run them at 60 frames per second when it's a 30 frames per second game, or 4K instead of 1080p, or max graphics level settings instead of medium or medium to high. But the PS4 Pro really delivered on none of those, because it's not powerful enough, and it wasn't an upgrade to the PS4 at all. It was more just like a PS4 with slight little enhancements here and there. You can't really call it an enhanced PS4 or a PS4 quote Pro. It's I don't think you can really call it that when the upgrade wasn't really there. It didn't upgrade that much. If they had launched with the PS4 that powerful, if that was the PS4, then it would be an amazing console, really cool console. The fact that was their second try, and that was their revised try at a PS4 really is hilarious, and it was a really bad effort from Sony. But with Xbox One X, they've really ramped it up and they've made it more powerful, I think, than I read a figure somewhere. I think it was a quote from Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox, that only 90% of people, of PC players, cannot afford to run their games at 4K. That's 90% of PC players. 90% of people who play games on PC and consider themselves, PC gamers, can't run their games at 4K, whether or not it's because, the graphics levels are too low and the frame rate's too low, or they just, can't run it. The PC just can't run it because it's not powerful enough. That's 90% of people. So the fact that the Xbox One's going to run, the majority of its games, or have the ability to run the majority of its games, what I mean by ability is you'll be able to choose what resolution you play it at, which I've covered in another video. The fact that the majority of people on Xbox One X are going to be able to play games at 4K, and the majority of games will be playable at 4K, really shows that it's there was a hole in the market for it, because a lot of PCs weren't playing up to it. For $500 you certainly couldn't get a PC capable of 4K gaming at anything other than 10 frames per second or something, probably not even that. So there was really a hole in the market. There really was a hole in the market. There was a hole in the market for a console that could really was the PC killer, the gaming PC killer. I know there'll be some PC fanboys out there that are just going to get so bitter about that. The Master Race types think they're some sort of elitist gamer because they dropped $2,000 on a PC. No, that's not the way it works. The fact that the specs, are more powerful than the majority of gaming PCs just goes to show, and speaks volumes, really, essentially. And it shows, like just said, that there was a hole and an aspect in the market for people wanted that. People wanted that, but they didn't want it at the price. They wanted a premium product, but not at a premium price. And that's what Microsoft has done. And it's going to be, make Microsoft a lot of money down the road because they're going to have a much larger player base. And like I said, people will be paying for games and add-ons and DLCs on the Xbox now, on the Xbox Store instead of the PlayStation Store, instead of Origin or Steam, which is obviously going to gain them a lot of money. And they'll make back that lost money that they lost out on by pricing the Xbox One X at such a low price for such a powerful console. They'll make back that money probably within the first month of gaming, probably within the first month from the launch date of the Xbox One X, which is 7th of November, to probably the start of December. They'll make that money back very quickly and very goddamn easily. So that's sorted there, and like I said, there really was an aspect in the market for it. There really was a need in the market. A lot of gamers wanted to play, like myself, wanted to play games and see games at the infamous, fabled 4K and 60 frames per second on games that aren't 60 frames per second on console. So like Witcher 3, for example, or I can't think of another one. Witcher 3, Skyrim Special Edition. Those are two games that I'd like to see at 60 frames per second on Xbox One. There really was a market for it. There really was a market for it. Games were, developing and getting better on Xbox One and PS4. They were looking better over time, and graphics were slowly and gradually getting better. But they weren't getting better fast enough. And with the whole new resolution gate open, with 4K open, and people preferring to run things at 60 frames per second, I think Microsoft and Sony both realized that they should have built their console to last a little bit longer, knowing that 4K was probably going to break out eventually and be like the predominant want amongst gamers. But the thing is, Microsoft saw to that need and did it perfectly. Sony did not, and that's why no one really talks about PS4 Pro. There's not that many videos about it, and no one really plays on it at all. If they've got it, obviously they play on it, but it's not really. Even when it launched, it wasn't really that big of a deal or that big of a thing. That will not be the case with the Xbox One X. The Xbox One X is not going to be like a fleeting thing where it's a big thing for a month and then disappear. It will be stuck around for a while. And I mentioned in another video how it breaks all of the sort of the definitions of a console, how like console generations and console cycles every 5 to 9 years. It's usually about 6-7 years. I think the gap between the Xbox 360 and Xbox One was something like 7 years, I believe. It was. I think it was 7 years, or like nearly 7 years. And that was really stupid. That was really stupid when you buy a product, even for 7 years. If a product lasts 7 years, it's good and everything. But it's just so stupid, so inconvenient. The idea of a console generation and a console cycle really wasn't a good idea in the first place. I covered why they did that in that video that I was talking about. I'll probably link that up in the top right or down in the description or something. The reason they did that, really, to sum it up, was basically because back when they made the PS1 and the first Xbox, they knew that gaming was first starting out, and then it would evolve and adapt very, very quickly and develop into something massively different. Hence why games went from 2D shooters like Doom to things like Halo 1, Halo Combat Evolved. Games, that was really the gold age of games, and it really developed at that point. And they knew that's why they did console generations and console cycles at that point. But really, it's no longer a good idea and no longer a good plan of attack, really. So yeah, that's why I think that the Xbox One X is set, for massive success, and why it's seen success already, and why it's already done well and seen already like a massive amount of sales. And I honestly think that it's going pretty damn far. I think it might have been it might be the console that sort of is going to break the generation. Like I was saying a second ago, the generations are so stupid. Like the console generations are really dumb. They're really bad, and they weren't a good idea from the start. But I understand why that sort of phase, why that idea sort of came in. But it's no longer applicable anymore. It's no longer applicable. Consoles need to be sort of dynamic and ever-changing, much like a PC. In fact, I said in another one of these videos that I was talking about the Xbox One X, that the Xbox One X would, if Microsoft chooses to do this, if they make it so that it's upgradable over time, and so that they release software upgrades and hardware upgrades to unlock the true potential of it, squeeze as much power out of it, and add power, maybe something that you plug in via USB or HDMI over time, over in the next like 5 years or something. Be a really good way of extending the lifespan of the console and helping break the whole console generation, because it's not, I mentioned in the video that I've referenced a couple of times now, it's not beneficial for anyone. Console cycles and console generations, they don't help Microsoft or Sony. They hate them. It's just the only way that they really know how to go about the business. They hate them because it's a massive inconvenience every time they have to develop a brand new product and a completely new thing, especially when with the Xbox One X they've really hit the nail on the head with that, and the Elite controller, you're set, you don't need anything else, and they can really not improve in any way on that at all, apart from adding more power, which they could definitely, which everyone would rather them do via over time gradual upgrades, as opposed to a brand new console that's just slightly more powerful in terms of graphics. In the next, say if it was an 8K console in the next 10 years or something, it would be much better if we could just sort of pick and choose upgrades, and they released upgrades over time. I mentioned this in the other video, but I think that's where Microsoft's going to take the Xbox One X, and one of the many reasons, like I said in this video, why it's sort of the deal breaker for console generations and console cycles, which is a really good thing, a really beneficial thing. And I think, like I said, it's got a hole in the market. It filled the hole in the market, and now everyone's realizing it. Gamers, just YouTube gamers, everyone's realizing it. That's why it's had so many pre-orders. It's not hot air. It's not it's not just wishful thinking. Everyone is realizing the true potential of the Xbox One X. That's why, contrary, with the PS4 Pro, some people did buy it, but many of the people that bought it were either YouTubers who bought it, to help them out with their videos, and because it increased the relevance of recording a video on the PlayStation, because it was the PS4 Pro, or it was people that heard YouTubers, buy it, or heard that YouTubers had bought it and, that were using the PS4 Pro, and then decided to get it because they did, because it was like the hot thing at the time. It didn't actually fill a role in the market, and it wasn't needed in the market and in the gaming industry. And that's why it didn't last, and that's why it's not really that relevant anymore. And that's why the Xbox One X is another one of the reasons why the Xbox One X really just took over, because there's not really that much competition, because you have gaming PCs, but much more expensive than the Xbox One X, so the Xbox One X wins there, really. Anyway guys, I've probably ranted on long enough about this now. That's going to do it for this video. If you guys find it informative or interesting, leave a like. It would really help me out, and I would really appreciate it. If you want to see any more of my videos, definitely stick around and subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.